Hi everyone, welcome to the English conversation of this week. Our topic is the difference between the American and the British English. Our video, of course, you can see that there are many variants of English, not only the American and the British, but we are going to like the most known ones and
and
British
especially
ones.
the most taught ones. So
Yeah.
if you learn English as a second language, if it's not your mother tongue, you either most people learn either the British or the American variant. Yes. Okay, so
The three major differences between both are the pronunciation, the spelling, and the vocabulary, and there are also some grammar differences, but this is a minor difference.
yes, the grammar is mostly the same, just some little things. Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the vocabulary. Thank you. So sometimes in the vocabulary you have one word, like here we have the example with mean, but it means slightly different things in both countries or in both languages, I suppose. So in British English you have mean, and it means it means not like the adjective to mean, not the verb. It means not generous or tight-fisted. If you look here in the example sentence, she's so mean she won't even pay for a cup of tea. So she doesn't want to give the money for tea, like spend the money for tea. So this is mean in this way. And in American English, and this is also the way I know the word.
Yes, me too.
But I didn't know that it was
use it.
American. Is It's like bad humored or angry, and I suppose you can see it very good in this sentence. Don't be so mean to your sister. Like don't annoy her. Don't anger her. And this is also how I use the word. So you have the word, but you have two like slightly different meanings. It's not the same. And then, of course, there are words like here, like lift and elevator, where you have one thing, like a lift or an elevator, but you have two different words for the same thing in the British English and in the American English. The same with pavement and sidewalk. Or what I found interesting, like math and math.
Yes.
It's just the S, but it makes a different word. Or the same, I suppose, with ill and sick. It's also two different words for the same thing. And then these words are more like mean as well, where you have the words in both languages, like mad, but it means two different things. So in American English, when you say mad, it's more like angry, I'm mad. And when you say in British English, I'm mad, it's more like crazy. And I know actually both connotations to the word, but I didn't know that it was like
No,
in
me
the
neither.
British
And
in
I
the...
use both sometimes. I have like a very mix. Sometimes I say
Yes.
angry, and sometimes I say I'm mad at you,
Yes.
and sometimes you are like mad, and sometimes you are crazy.
I know that you can say, for example, I'm mad about you, and then it
Yes.
means like I'm crazy about you.
Yeah.
And when you say, like you said, I'm mad at you, it means more like angry. But I didn't know that it had like this
Yes, I
American
thought it
British.
was the difference if you put the at or
Yes,
not
yes,
because of that.
yes,
So it's also very good for us.
yes.
This
But
conversation. Yeah.
yes, I thought it was very interesting to find out about these things. And of course, like Americans and British people, they understand each other. Like even with
Yes.
these things, like they know about it and they understand each other. So yes. Okay, let's continue with
And
spelling.
well, yes. Now about the spelling, there are some specific words that are spelled differently, but also there are some general differences. And these these are the two differences. For example, when it finished with or
Here,
or,
in the
yes,
British
in the
English.
British English, and in the American with or, and like humor, like, and for example flavor, and also color. For example, I thought I knew about color, but I was not sure which one was the British or the American, because in my word, when I write, sometimes it corrects me to the American and to the British, and I didn't understand it. So, and there are others, like for example with the eyes, like recognized in the British English,
With the
and
S.
yes, with the S, and then with the set in the American English. And for example, this difference, sometimes I mix it. I don't know you. Sometimes I put recognize with set when I'm writing for the high school, for the university, sorry. Well, in the high school too, I did it. And sometimes with S. I don't know if it happens to you.
Yes, and this is like the bad thing. Like, if you should stick always to one way, you know.
Yeah.
But I do it too. Like, I'm also very bad at it. Yes, and then
the words who finish with re in the British English and with er in the American English. And this is also one thing that I didn't know which was each, because sometimes I put theater in one way and sometimes in other. And I thought that, for example, I also asked Wiebke with the word center. I put center with re, but sometimes I saw center with the other, and I thought it was maybe a different word, but I didn't understand it. Why? So
yes, yeah, this is the spelling. And then, like Irene said, of course there are words like they are spelled differently, but there's like no rule or something. It's just like that. I don't know. For an example is the word tire for the car, like the wheels of the car, tire. I think one is with the Y and one is with I. But this is just random in a way, I say. Yeah. Okay. And now the pronunciation. So here we cannot tell you so much because of two reasons. One, it's very difficult to say, oh, there's one British pronunciation and one American pronunciation, because within both like countries there are like so many accents, you know, like in Britain somebody from London talks differently than somebody from Manchester, and so on, and in the US the same. But there is something called standard American and standard British. I think it's mostly because of science, like language science. And you can have some like differences or rules that are different. The second problem that we have, neither Irene nor I am native speakers. So we cannot really, or I feel like I cannot really show you anything how it's pronounced differently, because I just pronounce it how I think I pronounce it and hope for the best. Like, I don't know.
me too. I don't know how we learned.
Yes. Okay, so we found out about this website, or we saw this website, and I really like it because they have many examples of how to pronounce different sounds in British and in American English. And you can listen to every example. So they have like, they write about it and explain it, and you can listen. So I really liked it. Maybe to give just one example, which I read a lot about, it's the different pronunciation of R in American and in British English. And this is only if the letter R is followed by a consonant. So if it's followed by a vowel, there's no different pronunciation. But if it's followed by a consonant, they're like in these words, for example, always followed by a consonant, there's a different pronunciation. And in America, you pronounce the R. So you would say horse, park, further. But in British English, you don't pronounce the R. So you would say something, and this will sound horrible now, but you will say something like horse, park, further. And I notice myself, I say always further. So I say this like maybe in between, but more like the British. But other words like horse, I pronounce the R, because in German you would also pronounce the R. So it's like,
No,
you
but
know,
I have the same in harder. Like I sometimes say it stronger and sometimes no.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is one example for the pronunciation. And now, the grammar.
And now about the grammar, as we say, it's the minor difference. There are some, of course, and one is on the present perfect. In British English, the present perfect is used to express an action that has occurred in recent past that has an effect on the present moment. This is at least the way I learned it in the school. Me too. Because we learned the British English. I don't know if some of you have learned the American English, but I think in Europe we almost learned
Yeah.
the British. I don't know now. But however, in the American English, you can also use the simple past, and both versions are correct.
Yes, we have here the example, maybe just
Yes.
like I have lost my key. Can you help me look for it? Like if you lose your key and it's still lost, it has like an impact on you because, for example, you cannot unlock your door. So it has an impact on the present moment. In the British English, you lose I have lost. But in American English, you can. You don't have to. Both is correct, but you can use I lost my key. And this is the simple present. Simple past,
For
sorry.
example, I learned the English, like the British, sorry.
Yes, me too.
But then I use the American sometimes. For
Yes.
example, yes, I don't know how to explain it, but I just say it, and I don't know, it happens.
Okay.
Okay, so yes, it happens the same with the words already, yes, and yet. In the British English, these words are used with the present perfect, but in the American, it can be used with the simple.
Yeah, with the simple past. It's the same.
I have just had lunch, or I just had lunch. But for example, I use I just had lunch. So I don't know. I don't know about
Yeah,
yours.
I say sometimes I don't say I have just had lunch, but I say I've just had lunch sometimes, like the short form. But I think it's very interesting that in American English you can say both. Just in Britain you can just say this.
Yes.
So yeah, but I think also I use more this just because it's shorter, I think, and easier like to navigate. But well,
I don't know for the British people how it sounds when you mix.
yes. But it's true that
know.
in school I learned, oh, if you have these words like just, already, yet, you use the
Yes, it's true.
this form. But
then when you used to talk, yes.
Okay, and what
Okay,
else?
and also the past, the participle of some verbs are like the verb to get, like get.
Yeah, this is
It's also different from the British, that from America. And as you can say, get, got is the same, but the participle got in British English and gotten in American English. And I don't know, sometimes I think I said got in general, but I think sometimes I said gotten. I don't know. I have said got. I don't know, but it sounds to me.
Yes, I have learned this and I use this mostly, I think. But yeah, I know that these words also these words exist. This word, my God. Okay, yes.
And there are also things that are accepted in both languages, but one form is more common, like with have or have got when you are talking about possessions. It's true. So in Britain, it's more common to say in the British, I have got a car, and in the American, I have a car. And this is true.
But I remember that I was told in school, well, you can use the got, but you don't have to.
Yes.
So I was just like, why would I use an extra word? And I always say, oh, I have a car, I have this, I have this, I have a friend, whatever.
And also, yes, because I thought, why have got if you can say have?
Yes.
So I didn't use the got. Yes, I completely understand. And finally, there are some collective nouns, nouns that describe groups, like for example, government or team, which in Britain can be singular or plural, but in America, it's always singular. For example, and this is true, the government is trying everything in this crisis, which is the American, and the government are trying everything in this crisis. So it's true that I've learned in this the English, like the British. But sometimes
you say the government are trying,
like
so
but sometimes I say also the American. I don't know why, but sometimes I think there are more like this. It's a group of people, so I say are, and sometimes I don't know. Maybe it comes to my mind because it's a government, so I say is. So for this, I don't have a rule.
I have the same. Like sometimes I say, oh, for example, what I don't. Another example is my team is winning, which would be singular, or my team are winning, which would be plural, the British way. But my team are winning sounds so strange to me. Like the government, okay, but a team, I don't know. But I can tell you one interesting fact, maybe. I read that in America you use the singular form to express also that this is one group, one entity, and they belong together. And in Britain, you use the plural form to emphasize that this is a
a
group,
group
but
of
it's made of different people. So it's like, and this is what I find so fascinating about language, how it like shapes your thought. And of course, in return, also it's shaped by your thoughts. But like this is, yeah, even with these minor like differences or how you can change the sentence.
Yes, but I think that in general for people it's easier if you say team or government to say the singular.
Yeah.
Because in general I use it more
I
than to
think
think
it
it's a
depends.
group of people.
It depends also on your mother tongue, I
Yes.
think, because in German you would use the singular. So
Yes,
I'm
in
more
Spanish
used to
too.
use the singular, but well, yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Okay. I hope this wasn't so confusing for you because we didn't put an example here, but I hope you could follow along at what we are saying. Sorry. Okay, so this was the video. We hope that you enjoyed it. I like to talk about these differences because I really think it's fascinating to talk
Me
about
too.
languages. And what we didn't talk about is why these differences exist. So, and to be honest, there are so many reasons, and sometimes I think no reason at all, but this is just my opinion. So it would kind of be too long for this video. However, I want to mention one name because I read it a lot when I was researching about this topic, and it's the name Noah Webster. He lived from 1758 to 1843, and he was an American lawyer and publicist and writer, and he did many things basically. And he wrote one of the first American dictionaries for English, so an English dictionary, but written and published in the US. And he is one of the reasons why there are so many spelling differences between the American and the English way, because he wanted to distinguish more and he wanted to make a difference between the two kinds of English, and he wanted also to be the American, be the more like prominent, but also the more modern way of English, because this was in a time where America became independent and so on. So like I love this. Like it's part of the independent movement, but about the language, it's so fascinating to me. But yes, so this was it, Noah Webster, and yes, we will see you next week.
Yes, with the next topic. Okay, so thank you.
And enjoy Easter.
Yes, bye.
Bye.